Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone's behavior just seemed foolish? Maybe they argued with emotion instead of reason, refused to consider anything new, or insisted everyone else was wrong except them. Or worse, have you ever realized that in a certain moment you acted the same way? Here's a truth no one wants to admit. Foolishness isn't an absolute state. It's a mindset anyone can slip into if they're not vigilant. The scary part is, foolishness doesn't announce itself with a shout or a knock. It creeps in quietly, disguised as ego, false confidence, or unexamined beliefs. Bit by bit, it steals our ability to learn, listen, change, and understand others. Marcus Aurelius, the wise Roman emperor, wrote, "What makes people suffer is not events, but how they perceive them." A wise person reflects, learns, and knows when to stay silent. But the foolish, they live in their own closed-off, fragile, defensive world. This doesn't mean we should judge or mock others. The goal of this video isn't to point fingers and say, "Look, that person's foolish." It's for you and me to look in the mirror and ask, do any of these signs exist in me? If they do, that's a gift, not a sentence. Because the beauty of being human is this: we can change if we're aware enough to see it. In today's video, I'll guide you through the 6 most telling signs of someone living in a state of intellectual lack. Not to criticize, but to observe, understand, and overcome. Each sign will be a mirror. It might make you uncomfortable, even angry, but if you're brave enough to face it, you'll leave this video with a sharper, stronger, more mature, and wiser perspective. Not everyone has the courage to confront the truth about themselves, but if you're still listening, I believe you do. If you find this content worth spreading, hit the like button to let YouTube know this video deserves to reach more people. Subscribe if you don't want to miss deep, honest lessons like this every day. And if, while watching, you're struck by something or want to share your thoughts, comment below. Your perspective could awaken someone else. Number 1, a closed mind. The first and one of the most dangerous signs of someone slipping into foolishness is a closed mind. They no longer take in new ideas, ask questions, or doubt themselves. To them, everything is settled, their views are fixed, and anyone who differs is wrong. If you've spoken with such a person, you'll feel the weight of the conversation. It's no longer an exchange between two people, but a one-sided battle where you're dismissed before you even speak. A closed mind isn't just about disagreement. Disagreement is healthy in any discussion. But when someone stops listening, stops considering, stops pausing to ask, "Could I be wrong?" That's when foolishness takes hold. Ironically, those with closed minds often believe they're highly intelligent. They're so confident they're reckless, convinced they know everything, that the world is too simple to teach them anything new. They see certainty as a virtue and curiosity as weakness. The philosopher Epictetus said, "The first step to learning is knowing you don't know." A wise person understands knowledge is infinite, and the more they learn, the smaller they feel. Meanwhile, the foolish act as if they've mastered it all. The danger of a closed mind isn't just personal. It can spread, stifling a group or community. When closed minds dominate, they suffocate creativity, kill new ideas, and alienate anyone who dares to differ. You can spot a closed mind in many ways. It's the person who says, "I already know," whenever you share something new, or "This is definitely right, don't argue," without clear reasoning. It's someone who jumps to conclusions based on emotions or personal experience, ignoring the bigger picture. Most tellingly, it's the person who never asks questions. Asking questions means admitting you don't know, and for a closed mind, that's unthinkable. In the age of social media, this sign is even clearer. Notice how someone reacts to opposing views. Do they listen? Do they argue rationally or resort to insults? Can they shift their stance when faced with compelling evidence? Or do they dismiss contrary information, surrounding themselves with like-minded echoes? A closed mind doesn't just halt your growth, it makes you toxic to others. By not listening, you deny others respect. By not questioning, you block the path to truth. So how do you unlock a closed mind? First, it takes courage. Courage to admit you might be wrong. This isn't easy. It strikes at the core of ego. But only by daring to doubt yourself do you truly start learning. Next, practice asking questions instead of asserting. Instead of saying, "And that's definitely wrong," try, "Is there anything right in this?" Instead of, "I know," say, "Can you explain more? I want to understand." Marcus Aurelius, both emperor and philosopher, wrote in his journal, "Welcome criticism like a farmer welcomes rain after drought." An open mind doesn't fear challenge. It embraces it as a chance to grow. If you're watching this with an open mindset, you're already ahead of most. You're not closed off. You're ready to learn. You have the makings of wisdom. But a crucial point, don't confuse an open mind with accepting everything. An open mind doesn't mean believing all, agreeing with every opinion, or abandoning principles. It's about listening without snap judgments, considering without knee-jerk rejection, debating without offense. You can hold firm convictions, but they should be forged through careful reflection, not stubborn reflex. If lately you've reacted strongly to opposing views, grown impatient with dissent, or found questioning annoying, it's time to pause and reflect. A wise person isn't afraid to see they're off course. Knowing course correction is the wisest move. If this lesson stirred something in you, a wound, a memory, a new insight, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone you care about who'd benefit from it. Comment your thoughts below. Have you ever had a closed mind moment? How did you overcome it? We read every comment and can't wait to hear your story. If you haven't subscribed, now's the perfect time. The videos to come will be even deeper, stronger, and might just change how you see yourself. Number 2, constant blaming. Constant blaming is not just a sign of immaturity, it's a clear indicator of someone trapped in a cycle of foolishness. By always pointing fingers at others, they reject their greatest inner power, the ability to change. A smart person may err but learns from mistakes. A wise person may be hurt but doesn't linger as a victim. A foolish person, however, always finds someone else to carry their responsibility. Parents, society, colleagues, circumstances, even the universe. Everyone's at fault except them. Blaming is an ancient psychological defense. It shields against shame and preserves self-image. But when it becomes a habit, it paralyzes action. A chronic blamer never feels the need to change because the fault lies with the world, not them. They stay in a toxic job for years, blaming the boss. They fail in relationships, claiming others don't love right. They repeat bad choices, convinced they're just unlucky. Stoicism urges us to focus on what's in our control and ignore what's not. The foolish do the opposite. They obsess over what they can't control, others' thoughts, the weather, policy changes, while neglecting what they can, their attitude, behavior, choices. By blaming, you make yourself a puppet of circumstance. You trade freedom, humanity's greatest asset, to protect a fragile ego. But this protection weakens you over time, stunting growth. A harsh truth: no one wants to be around a constant complainer and blamer. That energy is toxic. It spreads, weighs down the atmosphere, and drives positive people away. At first, others may listen with empathy, but if you don't change, if you stay passive in your life, they'll grow weary. Eventually, they'll distance themselves, not out of cruelty, but to protect their mental health. If you catch yourself blaming, don't rush to self-criticism. It's a common reflex. The key is recognizing it and choosing to stop. List the 3 biggest issues in your life right now: stagnant job, rocky relationship, financial chaos. Write 2 columns, factors I can't control and choices I actively made. You'll see you have more control than you think. When you own your part, something magical happens. You reclaim your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are not disturbed by events, but by how you view them." Blamers assign negative meaning to events, casting themselves as victims. But shift your perspective, and you move from passive sufferer to active driver. For example, if your boss is rude, you could blame them for your misery or say, "I'm learning to stay calm in a tough environment." Same event, 2 reactions, 2 destinies. Blaming doesn't prove you're right. It shows you're not ready to take responsibility. Without responsibility, you can't change your circumstances. Wise people don't blame. They analyze. They review facts, reassess choices, learn from errors, and move forward. Foolish people blame, complain, justify, and do nothing. They spend energy saying, "I suffer because of others," instead of asking, "What can I do to improve?" That choice keeps them stuck. To break the blaming habit, start with awareness. When you feel angry, hurt, or frustrated, pause and ask, "Who am I blaming? Am I denying my role in this?" That small question is a turning point. Next, shift from blaming to action. Instead of "my partner doesn't understand me," ask, "Have I communicated clearly?" Instead of "I can't succeed because no one helps," ask, "Have I used all available resources?" Finally, keep a responsibility journal. Each night, write 3 things you took responsibility for that day, even small ones. I chose to eat healthily. I apologize first. I didn't complain about my boss today. Repeated daily, these build a new mindset, one of self-mastery. From there, maturity grows, wisdom takes root, and you're no longer a puppet of circumstance. If this lesson resonates, if you've seen yourself or someone trapped in blaming, share this video with them. One timely word could shift their view of life. Comment below about your experience with blaming, how you noticed it, what helped you break free. Your story could light the way for others. If you're seeking content to live more responsibly and maturely, hit subscribe now. Upcoming videos won't just expose signs of foolishness. They'll help you build a solid foundation of wisdom. Number 3, arrogance. Arrogance is one of the clearest and most dangerous signs of foolishness. When someone becomes arrogant, they lose sight of their limits. They live in the delusion that they're always right, know enough, and have nothing to learn from others. This isn't just a troubling mindset, it slams shut every door to growth. A foolish person may not lack knowledge or skills, but when they believe they need no more learning, they embody true folly. Their ignorance lies not in what they don't know, but in their refusal to know more. The brutal truth: the more you think you know everything, the less you actually know. Picture someone striding through life, head held high, seeing themselves as the universe's center. They view others as inferior, their opinions flawed unless aligned with their own. When offered advice, they don't listen. When faced with contrary information, they dismiss it. When life offers a lesson, they refuse it. Why? Because they think, "I already know." But maturity never comes from that phrase. It comes from asking, "What don't I know yet?" A smart person stays open to learning. A wise person knows every encounter with a child or an elder holds a lesson. The foolish, however, learn from no one, believing they're above all. Stoicism emphasizes humility. Epictetus, once a slave turned the great philosopher, said, "It's not external things that trouble you, but your opinions of them." Arrogance is the most distorted opinion one can hold. It blinds you to honest self-reflection. It inflates minor achievements while ignoring obvious failures. An arrogant person never looks in the mirror truthfully. They see only a glorified, imagined version. And so they drift far from reality. A common sign of arrogance is the need to appear superior. In conversations, they don't listen. They wait to speak. In meetings, they don't collaborate. They dominate. They love showcasing knowledge, teaching others, but hate being taught. They crave praise but can't handle criticism. If you've met such a person, you've felt the stifling atmosphere where growth is choked and only ego reigns. Ironically, arrogance often masks insecurity. Many become arrogant not because they truly believe they're great, but because they fear others seeing their flaws. They build a wall of arrogance to shield their vulnerabilities, then start believing in that wall. Truly intelligent people maintain gratitude and openness. They're not afraid to say, "I don't know." They're not ashamed to admit mistakes. They understand admitting error doesn't diminish worth. It's the first step to growth. Arrogant people, however, never admit fault. They'd rather repeat a mistake 10 times than own it once. And so, they stagnate. They stand still, thinking they're climbing. A painful paradox. To overcome arrogance, start with courage to self-reflect. Ask, when did I last learn something new from someone? Have I rejected advice just because I dislike the source? Am I using confidence to mask fear of being wrong? Answered honestly, these questions mirror your inner self. If you see arrogance, don't panic. It's not a sin, it's a chance to become wiser. A powerful tool to dismantle arrogance is the art of listening. When you listen without judging, interrupting, or countering, you practice humility. Genuinely caring about another's story teaches you something new, making you smarter daily. Arrogant people don't evolve. They think they're complete. But no one is. Life shifts, knowledge updates, each day offers new lessons. Refusing to learn makes you obsolete. For example, in a meeting, if someone suggests an idea you dislike, do you dismiss it instantly? If so, arrogance may be at play. A wise person pauses and asks, "What's in this idea I haven't seen?" An arrogant one says, "That's a stupid idea." Your reaction to difference measures your wisdom. Arrogance doesn't just cost learning opportunities, it costs relationships. No one wants to be near someone who acts superior. Arrogance kills connection, making others feel small, dismissed, unheard. Even if you're truly skilled, you can't go far alone. The smartest, most successful people make others feel valued. If you're showing this sign, try this. In your next conversation, speak less, listen more. Find a friend, colleague, or family member whose views you've dismissed and ask, "What do you think about this?" Then listen. Don't interrupt. Don't argue. Just listen. You'll be surprised by what you've missed. If this content resonates, share this video with someone who needs it, not to judge, but to help them reflect. Comment below, how have you fallen into arrogance's trap and how did you escape? Your story could unlock someone's dangerous delusion. Hit like if you find this valuable, share to spread the message, and subscribe to catch the next lessons in building true wisdom. Number 4, lack of empathy. A lack of empathy is not just a sign of foolishness. It's a signal that someone is disconnecting from community, humanity, and their own human nature. Empathy, the ability to feel others' emotions and see the world from their perspective, recognizes that others experience pain, joy, struggles, and hopes just as we do. When someone loses or refuses this ability, they become cold, indifferent, and domineering. More than a moral failing, it's a mark of limited thinking and emotional intelligence. Foolish people lack empathy because they view the world solely through their own lens. They can't imagine others having different experiences, histories, or perspectives. They assume what they see as right must be right for all, and what they deem wrong must be universally wrong. When someone reacts or chooses differently, they don't seek to understand, they judge. Why are you upset over something so small? Why can't you do this simple task? If I can do it, you should too. These seemingly harmless words reveal a creeping lack of empathy in how they perceive others. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between what we can and cannot control. But more crucially, it reminds us, while you can't control others, you can understand them. You don't need to agree to listen. You don't need to be like them to respect their feelings. Yet those lacking empathy fail here. They interrupt, mock, ignore, or belittle. Worse, they justify their indifference with logic, saying, "I'm just being realistic," or "I don't have time for silly emotions." But a lack of empathy isn't realism. It's intellectual and relational laziness. Without empathy, people make unwise decisions. They don't grasp why employees quit, why their children grow distant, or why friends fade away. They blame others for being weak or disloyal, never seeing their own failure to offer compassion. This foolishness creates a closed loop. The less empathy they show, the more isolated they become. The more isolated, the more they blame. The more they blame, the tighter they shut themselves off. Eventually, they live in isolation, with no genuine connections or anyone willing to share. And they don't know why. Wise people see emotions as data, sadness as information, fear as a signal, anger as an opportunity to explore causes. They don't dismiss feelings. They use them to better understand the world. Those lacking empathy view emotions as obstacles. They hate tears, get annoyed by vulnerability, and thus miss the depth of relationships. They live on the surface, foolishly unaware of their own lives' shallowness. A lack of empathy also leads to unrecognized cruelty. A boss tells an exhausted employee, "I work hard too, stop complaining." A father scolds his son, "Don't be weak, men don't cry." A friend tells someone heartbroken, "Get over it, everyone goes through that." These sound like advice, but they're slaps to another's pain, not because they're wrong, but because they lack compassion. They don't come from understanding, but from a rush to restore normalcy, more for the speaker than the listener. This is why a lack of empathy signals foolishness. It shows ignorance of how the world works. The world isn't driven by logic. It's shaped by emotions, connection, and humanity. Without empathy, you can't lead effectively, love sustainably, or teach anything of true value. Everything meaningful, from an apology to an embrace, starts with empathy. To cultivate empathy, start by observing others' emotions without judgment. Ask, if I were them, in their situation, how would I feel? You don't need to agree, just try to understand. When someone shares struggles, don't rush to solutions. Say, "Well, that sounds really hard." When faced with anger, don't match it. Ask, what pain's behind this anger? These questions open doors to deeper understanding of others and yourself. Also reflect on yourself. When you're impatient with others, pause and ask, what am I rushing? What am I avoiding? A lack of empathy for others often stems from a lack of self-empathy. You judge yourself too harshly, deny your weaknesses, or don't forgive past mistakes, and so you can't offer it to others. Empathy begins within. A lack of empathy hurts others and impoverishes your emotional life. You'll miss the beauty of a loving glance, the healing in a gentle word, or the power of true listening. That's a profound loss, not from lack of opportunity, but from self-inflicted indifference. If you've been lack empathy, don't feel ashamed. We've all have. Recognizing it and adjusting is key. Reach out to a friend you've misjudged or rushed and say, "I'm sorry if I didn't fully get how you felt." That small step can spark change. If this content resonates, share it with someone who needs it. Family, friends, or coworkers. Comment below. When have you lacked empathy, and what did you learn? Hit like if you find value and subscribe for more lessons, because a single moment of empathy can transform a lifetime. Number 5, fear of change. Fear of change is one of the clearest signs of someone living in unrecognized ignorance. It's not that they lack the intelligence to see change as necessary, but they're trapped in a psychological comfort zone where familiarity becomes a chain. A foolish person doesn't fear their foolish actions. They fear the new, fear breaking old habits, fear the uncertainty of growth. They'd rather live a small, familiar life than step into the unknown that offers chances to learn, expand, and mature. We aren't born fearing change. It's nurtured over time by adults warning against failure, unhealed early setbacks, or skeptical glances when we stray from the crowd. Over time, we cling to the known, no matter how bad. A dull but secure job, a toxic but familiar relationship, a procrastinating habit that's comfortable. When someone mentions new paths or goals, we respond not with excitement, but with dread, doubt, or avoidance. Fear of change makes you a prisoner in your own life. You're caught in a loop, unhappy with the present, dreaming of a better future, but too scared to act. So you return to your mediocre reality, blaming life, fate. But do you ever ask, am I afraid to take the necessary step? That's where foolishness lies, not in ignorance of the need for change, but in choosing inaction, justified by excuses like, it's not the right time, I have responsibilities, I'm not good enough, or I'm not like them. The truth, there's never a perfect moment or path. Successful people act despite fear, moving forward though imperfect. Those who fear change box in their minds. They refuse new skills, thinking they're too old. They avoid new experiences, saying, that's not me. They dodge truth if it shatters their self-image. They're like outdated software, using old tools to navigate a new world, wondering why they fall behind. Meanwhile, the wise see change as life's essence. Without it, you die, not physically but spiritually. Your soul hardens, your mind stagnates, your spirit fades. Stoicism teaches we can't control the world, but we can control our response. Change is inevitable. You can hide briefly, but it'll knock through crisis, loss, or failure. The foolish wait for that moment, changing reluctantly. The wise embrace change as growth, knowing each shift brings them closer to their best self. Have you seen someone hate their job but fear quitting? Stay in a toxic relationship, scared of loneliness? Know their lifestyle harms them but delay change, dreading effort? These aren't due to ignorance. They lack courage. Courage doesn't erase fear. It's acting despite it. Fear of change isn't just emotional, it's a thinking flaw. The foolish let fear dictate actions. The wise let reason guide. To overcome fear of change, name it. Write, what scares you? Failure? Financial loss? Embarrassment? Judgment? Naming fear shrinks its power. Next, write, what happens if you don't change? Picture your life in 5 or 10 years if you stay stuck. Does that bring joy? If not, that's your reason to act. Finally, start small. No giant leaps. Read a new book, try a hobby, talk to someone unexpected. Each tiny step builds your change muscle. A quote I love, growth begins where your comfort zone ends. Staying safe means never knowing who you could become. Don't let your life be an unfinished draft, halted by fear of a few messy lines. You don't need perfection to start. Just start to become perfect. If this resonates, share this video with someone stuck in fear of change, family, friends, or your past self. Comment below. What change are you facing? What scares you? What will you do after this video? Hit like if this message matters, and subscribe to join me in breaking inner barriers. Number 6, talking more than listening. Talking more than listening is the final but one of the most subtle and widespread signs of foolishness. In a world where everyone wants to speak, show off, be seen, and be validated, listening has become a rare gift. The foolish don't just talk excessively, they talk to inflate their ego, fill gaps in their knowledge, control conversations, and prove they know more, know better, know first. They don't realize that every time they overtalk and under-listen, they close the door to wisdom. Stoicism teaches, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than speak. The foolish do the opposite. They act as if the world needs their opinion always, everywhere. They interrupt, ramble on oblivious to others' interest, and focus on themselves, their views, achievements, thoughts, without pausing to ask, what's the other person feeling, thinking, needing? They don't listen because they don't value others. And if you can't respect someone by listening, you limit your own growth. A stark truth, the foolish think they control conversations by talking, but they expose their ignorance. Speaking repeats what you know, listening offers what you don't. Each interruption cuts off a new perspective, fact, or idea. Ironically, those who talk most often believe they're brilliant, while true intelligence lies in active, humble, curious listening. Observe the truly wise. They speak little, don't rush to judge, ask questions, and listen fully before responding. Their silence isn't passivity, it's ego control. They don't need to prove anything, valuing understanding others over being understood. The foolish, however, don't listen to understand. They listen to reply, refute, or redirect to what they want to say. That's not communication, it's a monologue disguised as dialogue. Why do the foolish talk so much? They're afraid of silence, of being forgotten, of going unnoticed, of becoming invisible if they don't speak. But they miss that excessive talking makes them irrelevant. Words without insight, experience, or empathy are just noise. In today's noisy world, the wise create space for their words to matter. One well-timed, thoughtful sentence outweighs 1,000 empty ones. To check if you talk too much, ask, do I interrupt often? Do I remember what others say or just wait for my turn? Do I ask questions to learn or wait to talk about myself? Do I end conversations forgetting key points others shared? If yes to most, it's time to relearn listening, not just with ears, but with heart. Listening is a muscle to train. It's hard at first, especially if you're used to dominating talks, but gradually you'll see. Listening deepens understanding, builds real relationships, and creates space for others to feel valued. Remarkably, when you listen well, your words gain weight. People know you speak rarely but meaningfully. In Stoic philosophy, ataraxia, inner calm unshaken by externals, marks those who don't overtalk. They're not driven to prove, argue, or dominate. They know value lies not in saying something, but in saying what matters when it matters. The foolish do the opposite. They speak loudly, quickly, endlessly, then wonder why their words leave no trace. To talk less and listen more, count to 3 before replying. Ask questions instead of concluding. Treat conversations like classrooms. You're the student, not the teacher. Jot down what others say and restate their points to confirm understanding. Most crucially, embrace silence. It's not a void to fill, but a space for value to emerge. I challenge you today, in any conversation, talk 50% less, listen twice as much. Notice what happens. Others may open up. You may hear what you'd normally miss. You'll find silence doesn't diminish you, it deepens you. From there, you won't need to talk much to feel valued, because true wisdom comes from observing and understanding. If this resonates, share this video with someone who needs it. Listening is a free daily gift. Why not give it today? Comment below. What makes listening so hard today? How will you train your listening? Hit like if this adds value, share with friends, family, or colleagues, They might be talking too much without knowing. Subscribe to catch more practical, inspiring insights like this. More powerful content awaits. You've completed the journey through 6 signs of foolishness. If you're here listening to these final moments, let this sink in. Everything you've heard isn't for judging others. It's for reflecting on yourself. We've all been closed-minded, blamed others, been arrogant, lacked empathy, feared change, or talked too much. No one's perfect. The difference lies here. The wise dare to see their own folly, while the foolish never think they need to change. The most important thing you can do after this video isn't to nod, close the tab, and return to routine. It's to act. Start asking yourself daily, did I listen today or just speak? Did I learn something new or repeat the old? Did I face change or dodge it? Did I open my heart to someone I misunderstood or disliked? Did I blame someone for what I didn't do enough? These small questions, answered honestly each day, won't just keep you from folly. They'll bring you closer to true wisdom. Start now. Pick one of the 6 signs, just one, and commit to improving it this week. If you talk too much, practice listening. If you blame, take responsibility. If you're arrogant, ask questions instead of judging. Don't try to change everything at once. One small, consistent action can lead to profound transformation. If this video resonated, spread it. With a like, a share, or an honest comment below, you're not just supporting me, you're helping yourself. You're telling the world you choose awareness over ignorance, that you don't just want to live, but to live with understanding, responsibility, and depth. That's what the world needs now more than ever. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to continue this journey of self-discovery, understanding life, and becoming your best self. The upcoming videos will be even more powerful, and I want you there, awakening with me. Thank you for your time. Remember, intelligence isn't a destination. It's a daily choice. You can make that choice right now.